Hello and welcome to the Dipsy Dudes Fancy Football Fix for Game Week 11. My name is Rob from the Dipsy Dudes, of course, and I'll be covering for Richard this week, who is sunning it up stateside. So before we get into Game Week 11, let's take a sneak peek at what happened in Game Week 10. So the Dream Team for Game Week 10 give us a King's ransom of 134 points. Now there's a few names in there you wouldn't expect to be in a Dream Team, so let's have a look through. We'll start up front. Mr. Stephen Fletcher, who didn't have the best of years last year, appears in this week's Dream Team up front, along with Valencia of West Ham. Wanyama in midfield. Now, as you can see here, he's got a total of 37 points for the season, racked up 11 points this week. Only selected by 4.9% of teams in the league. Definitely one to watch, but we'll get into more about Southampton a bit later. Some regulars in here you would expect to see. Hazard got 10, Oscar got 10, Sanchez, I know you would expect him, but wow, 16 points. Congratulations to anyone who had him as their captain. And Stuart Downing as well managed to creep into the Dream Team there. In defence, Chambers, 18 points. It was really a good week to have some Arsenal players in your team, especially as you can look at the other side of the defence where you got Gibbs as well, who managed to rack up 10. So if it's a closer look at Chambers, who managed to score 18 for a goal, an assist, a clean sheet, 2 points for minutes played, and 3 bonus points as well. Selected by 13.9% of people in the league, and only £4.8 million. What an absolute bargain. Again, we'll get into bargains later in the episode. In goals, the top goalkeeper for the week was Mr. Ben Foster of West Brom. Not many people had him in their sides, but he managed to rack up 10 points. But that's enough about last week. We can talk all we want about last week. You've all seen Match of the Day, so let's move on. What's more important is what's coming up in the next 7 days. So let's get a bit more specific about players rather than just going for the transfers a bit willy-nilly. I'm going to start off by going through something a bit controversial in terms of selection, and I'm going to suggest the dumping of some Liverpool players if you still got them in your side, and perhaps bringing some players in from a more formed team such as, Newcastle United. So Liverpool's next 2 games are against Chelsea and Crystal Palace, and Palace being a bogey team for Liverpool. Liverpool were up 3-1 against them last year, ended up in a 3-all draw. What happened there? Let's stay away from that. Newcastle, on the flip side, have West Brom and QPR in the next 2 fixtures. Perhaps you could drop Sterling for Sissoko. Sissoko is cheap as chips, literally. £2.60 for a large. Liverpool players, of course, a lot more higher calibre in terms of people's perception of them. Therefore, they are more expensive in the league. You're looking at about £8 to £9 million per player for a Liverpool player, where if you look in contrast to Newcastle, you're looking about 5 to 6. So you could consider dropping some players there. Cisse has scored a few goals in the last couple of games. Also, the youngster Jose Perez Gutierrez, is that his name? I don't know. You might want to think about bringing him in. He scored 2 in the last 2 for Newcastle. A gifted youngster, really worth keeping an eye on him in the future with your fancy football teams. A bit of an obvious one, but if you haven't got him, get him. Alexis Sanchez, he's worth £10.7 million at the moment. I think that'll rise over the next couple of weeks, so you might want to get him in early. His next 3 games are Swansea away, Man United at home, and West Brom away. So those are fixtures where you'd expect Arsenal to do well at the moment, the form they're in compared to the form some of the teams are in there. Also, Alexis Sanchez in the last 3 games has scored 13, 16 and 16 points as well. He's selected by 24.1% of the fantasy football community, so a lot of people have got him. Like I said, his price will rise, and he is now officially the top scorer at this point in time in the fantasy league. If you haven't got him, get him. So I've mentioned it a few times within this episode of the Fantasy Football Fix. I've got something prepared for it as well. Let me just rip through this bag to get something out here. Oh look. I don't know if you can read that, but it's Rob's bargain basement list. So in true Generation Game style, let's have a look at what players we got on that list. So another player to consider bringing in, Rich has gone about in the last couple of weeks. I'm going to mention him as well. I won't do it as excited as Rich introduced it with saying Stone Cold! Charlie Austin 3 times. But yeah, Charlie Austin, he's an absolute bargain player at the moment. He scored 5 in the last 10 games, 3 of which were in the last 2 games as well. So seriously, really consider bringing him if you're looking for cheaper options up front. They're going to bang in the goals for you. Really consider Charlie Austin. He's my Rob's endorsement of the week. If you look at the top 10 players in the overall fantasy football league at the moment, 4 of the top 10 are from Southampton. When people think of Southampton, they think of Tadic, of course, and Pella. But another player who had a cracking weekend last weekend was Wanyama. But really consider bringing him in. He's only with 4 points something that I am going to start here. He scored 3 goals in the last 6 games. That's the reason he's my number 1 in the bargain basement. Probably one of my bargain buys for the entire season so far. He's got more points than Mata, Ramsey, Lamella, Toure and Cazorla. It's a no-brainer really. So let's have a look at the Dipsy Dudes Divisional Championship then. First place has stayed with Rent a Wag. Great team name, guys. Charles Garnier's team got 66 points this week, totaling 635 points. I'll come back to second in a second, if you will. Third place, down from second last week, Latchford again, Chris O'Connor's side. 50 points on 617 points in total. But the reason I've kept second place to talk about last, but in the top 3, Bez's Bad Boys, not only have they managed to get into second place in the championship, but they were also the league's top point scorers with 90 points last weekend. Let's have a little look at how they got those 90 points then.
And here we have it, Bez's Bad Boys for game week 10, and you can see why straight off the bat. We got 4 star players from the week. Ben Foster in goals, who managed to get 10 points. Chambers, who managed to get that 18 points for the week, a goal, an assist, bonus points, clean sheets, you name it, he got it. Hazard managed to get himself 10, and Sanchez, which we all know about, managed to get himself 16 points there. So that is Bez's Bad Boys, which was the Dipsy Dudes team of the week in the championship.
So that's all from me for this week. Just like to say a big thank you to my fellow Dipsy Dude Adam, who helped me pull together some of the content for this week's show in Rich's absence. Rich will be back for the next episode, probably sporting some sort of tan from his trip stateside. But don't forget, there's no fancy football next week because we've got the international break. But a big good luck from us guys, to all the home nations who will be playing in those fixtures. If you liked our video, please press the like button and subscribe. That would be really useful to us. And if you've got any feedback, chuck it down the bottom in the comments as well. But for now, just a big thank you from us. Hope you like our show. I'll catch you again soon.